Okay, this is Mr. Westeros, it's Most Stylish. Today I'm talking to you about this question for the GCSE Crown Punishment section. Anglo-Saxon justice was based on violence and superstition. The aim is to watch the video, look at the advice I've given you in your book, and improve your answer. Let's go. Okay, so before you started, I gave out these three big targets, okay? And obviously we tried to colour code those as we've gone in. And I think it's important to keep these three things in mind as you go through the video and as you go and improve your answer, okay? Remember the big target one, okay, here even, is about the line of reasoning. Is it at the start and end of every paragraph? And is it clear in your introduction and conclusion? And have you explained it? Sometimes I felt at the end of the paragraphs, like the line of reasoning was just stuck on like one line. Have you actually explained what you mean by that? Secondly, the big target two, describe each aspect of the system. What I've done is, for this one, is on the back of the video, is the information again that you got before the assessment on the different aspects. Get some detail in there, okay? And a lot of you are getting straight onto the targets 1 and 3 and not doing enough of 2, and you've got to walk before you can run. And then finally, judgment. Have you directly compared the importance of violence and superstition with the role of the local community? Trial by ordeal wasn't used in every trial, but the jury was. So this high-tech system was based more on the local community than it was on superstition. That judgment and that comparison. Okay, let's carry on. Just so you're clear, these are the paragraph starters that I suggested you used. Make sure you've used those, okay, or something similar. Again, you can see here that I've actually used the line there from the line of reasoning. And again, I've worked into the second one. So have a look through and make sure your paragraphs start with those two starters. Pause the tape if you need to. So what I've done here is I've kind of given a structure of how the paragraph should look. So you can see at the beginning here, okay, I've got the line of reasoning. Then we go on in purple in the middle of the paragraph to the detail, okay, in this case about blood feud. And then it goes on to the judgment. Yeah, okay, and I particularly look at that second sentence in the judgment bit, this in fact became less violent, because that's fully explaining that the system became less violent. So some people have kind of put, oh, it's not based on violence because they got rid of blood feud, but maybe just try and develop that further. Then look, you can see it's another element of the system that was based on violence was, and really the structure of this paragraph should be blue, purple, green, purple, green, purple, green, blue, okay, or something like that. And that's for each paragraph, all right? So try and look at that as an example, if you haven't seen it already, of how to do that. Now, those of you who've got targets around big target 3, might be that you want to improve the explanation of it, and that was a big issue for quite a few of you. But it might be that you want to just go down the list here and make sure you've mentioned all these things or discussed all of these points on this slide, okay? The system became less violent because of Vergil replacing blood feud. Trial by ordeal was only used when the judge couldn't decide, so try and explain why that's important. Mutilation was only used for reoffenders and not in every case, so why is that important? Execution was only used for a few crimes in this period. So why is that important, okay? So a lot of people did the bits that are here, okay, these, all right? But then they didn't go on with that and explain why it is important, okay? And I think that's the point, all right? You need to explain your judgment in full. And I wrote that quite a few times. For the second paragraph, trial by ordeal wasn't used in every trial, but the jury was. So this hierarchical system was based more on local community than it was on superstition. The hue and cry was used to try and catch every potential criminal, showing that law enforcement was based on the local community and not on violence. Without the hue and cry, they won't be able to catch people. The hue and cry is also a deterrent, as is the tithing, stops crimes happening, so again reduces the violence. All right. So have a look through these and see if you can make sure you've got them in your answer. And make sure you're saying, for this top bit, okay, why it's important. Okay, so there's just the information that you had before. Obviously, if you filled your sheets in well, you can just use your yellow sheets for this. But if you haven't, then by all means, just have a look at the information on this slide. Just pause it and have a look at it and get it written down and develop your purple, okay? This is for big target 2, the purple one. Again, some more information here that you might want to include in yours. Again, I've just copied and pasted it from the information we looked at in class. So have a look at it, pause the tape, get it filled in. Trial by ordeal, you might not need to explain all 4, but you certainly want to have a couple in there, okay, as well as a general explanation of it. So say pause the tape, get the information down, improve the purple. A couple of nice examples here then about the judgment, okay. Punishments like mutilation and execution were extremely violent. However, mutilation was only used to punish re-offenders, and execution was only used for extreme crimes. This shows that the Anglo-Saxon justice system was not based on violence, as if these 2 punishments would be more widespread and used for the first-time offenders. Okay, so there you go. Somebody there saying, okay, about the importance of being used for first-time offenders and having the punishments more widespread. Another one here. This is a violent punishment. However, it was also only used if the offender recommitted the crime. If the system was based on violence, mutilation would have been used more excessively. Again, quite short and quite neat, but a good example of the kind of work that we're after. Finally, we're not doing a lot of work on conclusions with this. It's the kind of first assessment for year 10. So there's been some nice ones, and this is a good example of a conclusion here. Part of it anyway. Many of the violent features were either replaced by more peaceful and rational methods or only used as a very last option. When it comes down to superstition, it's very likely that the Anglo-Saxon people would not have seen it as being superstitious. In fact, it was probably very normal to them, since their lives would have been largely based around the church and God. So nice little bit of information from someone's conclusion there. So you might want to include that, have a look at your own. I'm less concerned about those at this stage, okay, because that's something we'll develop as we go forward. So as I say, get stuck in now, your green pen's out, and improve the work. Based on what I've said, what you've seen in the video, any questions, obviously I'm walking around, you can ask me.